That's beautiful cinema.
Okay. Hey, what's up? It's the DeadEndRoad's show, Beautiful Cinema. We're doing a separate recording here because, boy, we just can't shut the fuck up, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about the new Hellraiser, which we saw. I feel like I'm going to be so stiff now after all this recording. I'll just go like, you're not so high on this. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so this is like a reimagining of the original Hellraiser, which I think is from the 80s. I forget exactly what year.
Yeah.
Which the original is a movie I really like. I saw it a few years ago for the first time and really enjoyed it. But this new remake didn't work for me. So like just to like lay down the very basic premise, because this is a movie that is somehow both too convoluted and too formulaic. If that makes sense.
I know what you mean.
So yeah, there's this like puzzle box that gets dug up. This woman played by what's her character's name? Riley, played by Odessa Zion, which, by the way, I should mention, I really like the cast. Like, the performances are good. It's just, I feel like it's just a poorly scripted movie. But yeah, so Riley is an addict. She's met her boyfriend through like AA, and she's like unemployed and living with, well, no, she's employed, but her job is like, doesn't pay well. And she's living with her brother and his boyfriends. And, anyway, so her boyfriend has the scheme to like, there's like this abandoned, storage unit, and just like a rich guy owned it, but nobody is looking after it. And they come across this puzzle box. The puzzle box unleashes, demons, right? Like, I guess you would call them demons. Mm-hmm. And
they're the Cenobites or whatever.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
and so whenever you complete a segment of the puzzle and you cut yourself, they come for you and they get you and they take you to hell. So yeah, Riley gets caught up in this because her brother ends up being the one who gets cut and taken away, and so she is tasked with uncovering the mystery and trying to rescue her brother. And we learn later on, spoiler alert here, that her boyfriend was in on it the whole time. He was working for the rich guy, who himself, the rich guy, is in a predicament.
Yeah.
And he needs the sacrifices. He needs the stages of the puzzle to be completed so he can be freed, right?
Because if you complete all the stages, you get
an audience
get a gift
with God, right? That's the gift.
Yeah. And so you get to pick like 1 through 5. There's a bunch of gifts, and one of them is Resurrection, which is the one Riley was going to go for to get her brother back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which that is cool. Like, I like that sort of like, I guess, mythology behind it.
Yeah.
The problem is that that's hardly explored at all, like in this movie.
Right.
Until the very end, where the character is faced with that choice and makes the choice. And it's like, okay, but like we didn't really like dig into any of this and how these choices relate to the characters and like what they're going through. Like this movie felt very like action oriented and like spectacle oriented, and
really
in the back half.
Yeah.
The back half, I would say, action meaning not like combat, but like action in terms of like these characters are like running around to uncover this thing, and that's kind of it, right?
Yeah. I think they realized in the back half that they had to start killing some people.
Yes, they did.
Yeah. My problem. Okay. So like I had never finished watching the original.
Okay.
A few years ago. My problem was that I sat down to watch it a few years ago. I think when I last had access to Shudder. But I made the mistake of trying to eat while I watched it. And
oh no.
Yeah, I think I made it to the part where Uncle Frank gets his body back.
Oh yeah.
And so I was like, okay, well, I just can't watch this right now.
It's good stuff though.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so I couldn't finish it. So then a few days ago, I was like, all right, I'll sit down and watch it. And you know, it's fine. It's good. It's more of like a haunted house movie than like you might think it is.
Yeah, there's like real atmosphere to it.
Yeah.
You know, where this movie is completely void of any sort of atmosphere. I think it just feels very empty, you know?
So yeah, so I can't speak to the rest, you know, any of the sequels, if any of them are any good.
Oh yeah, I can't
most
either.
Most of them are shit, or you know what, if they explore Hellraiser mythology, or if any of that's continuity, I couldn't tell you. But the one thing that both of them have in common is that they don't show you the Cenobites in Hellraiser until way too late in the film.
Mm-hmm.
And that is such a detriment. Like, it works in the first one more so because, you don't know what the fuck's in this puzzle box. And I guess that worked much better in the 80s, whenever this was like, the introduction of a thing,
Yeah.
and you don't know what's behind every corner or what's popping out of these walls that are shifting and all this shit. But here, whenever you know that it's, Pinhead, right? You want to fucking see Pinhead,
Yeah, some of those character designs are awesome.
Yeah, and you want to see them. Like, this is not, Mike Myers,
Right.
Where you know he could be lurking behind every corner,
Yeah, here there's literally a device that conjures them up.
Yes. So they're there. You want to fucking see them. And you don't see them until like over an hour into the film.
Yeah.
And that is a major issue.
And not only that, but like I especially dislike the second half of this movie because even when they show up, there are just these extended sequences of characters like standing around and like
you mean the whole plot device where they just made them stand outside waiting for them?
There's literally that. And then there's like one of them gets stuck in a fence? Like a fence. And then there's like characters having these ridiculous like dialogues or even monologues and everyone's just standing around. Nothing's happening. It's very strangely paced, the back half of this movie and drawn out, extremely drawn out.
Yeah. I was like, whenever I saw the runtime, I saw 2 hours. I'm like, God help us. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why is this? The original is a brisk hour and a half.
That's clean right there. That's what you want to see.
It feels like a long TV episode, and it's great for it. This, I started zoning out. I was like, all right, where are we at?
Oh, I won't even admit how many times I looked at the clock.
Yeah. Where are we at? All right, they're still at the house. Okay, cool. All right, yep. Oh, the guy with the clock in his chest he's there?
Yeah,
right,
he's
cool.
got some stuff that he's going to say now.
Yep. All right, which one's he going to stab? All right.
Yeah. I will say the house, the mansion that is owned by the billionaire and is like the big set piece for the second half of the movie. Very cool in how it's like a house-sized version of like the puzzle box, and he's got all these like moving parts and like secret sections and closed off
very
areas.
Underutilized.
Totally.
Very underutilized.
Like, it's funny because you say how the original Hellraiser is like a haunted house movie in a lot of ways. This movie has a really cool house.
Yeah.
And like does really very little with it. So
they spend time getting away from the house to go, like, then they end up in a ditch, then they got to go back to the house.
Yeah. And also,
that's where they are for the rest of the movie.
To keep ranting here, and I don't mean to like keep doing this, but like, so the movie starts out as an addiction story, right? Because the main character is struggling with drugs and is relapsed and is being kicked out by her brother. And, a lot of effective horror stories are, like allegories or thematically like are about very grounded, like real life things and struggles, right? Whether it's like mental health or addiction, you see that kind of stuff all the time. This movie starts out as an addiction story and like really doesn't do anything with it. It feels like a plot device because like her addiction led to her brother being like taken away and like it didn't really explore much of that afterwards.
I kind of disagree.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's like a good addiction story.
No.
Like, like there's this, she like relapses or like she originally throws away her pills and then like quickly scrambles on the ground and picks them up and takes them, and that leads to her brother getting stabbed and taken. And so then like there's all this grief or whatever, and then like later she has another opportunity to like, grab all these pills, and then she refrains. And then the end of the movie is like her sort of making a choice, right? And that's sort of like the big theme of the movie is making choices,
Yeah.
And like this is sort of her like saying that she's taking control, and that's sort of like where the addiction angle comes into play, I think.
Maybe what mixes all that up for me is the idea of this character having much agency over the situation, because this is such a unnecessarily convoluted story, and it does feel like it's pulling a lot from like your typical like horror, like actiony horror movie, and like the beats that it's hitting.
Yes.
It's like, okay, so this whole idea of like agency and taking control, it kind of just like rang hollow for me, because like
they have a big problem here here where they realized what the box could do and what it was doing. And so they're like, okay, well, like they made the characters too rational, right? So they're like, okay, well, we know this box is fucking messed up and what it's doing, so let's fucking throw it away and get out of here. So then they literally had to have Pinhead come in and say, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, very silly.
So they literally had to be making it into like a game, like, you know, now I stab you, so now you have to stab somebody else.
Yeah, this felt like one of the Saw movies for a bit.
Yes. And to an extent, like, the original kind of has that vibe where, like, the Cenobites are sort of like this neutral third party, like, exacting judgment in a way, where, like, they have their own set of rules and, like, this code that they follow, you know? Where, like, they sort of exact this revenge and judgment on Frank. And, like, even though they don't see that as a moral thing, they still do it anyway because they just wanted him back after he escaped. So they like strike a bargain, right? And here it's a similar thing where they make a deal, you know?
Right.
So like they have like rules that they follow, but it's more of a game to them. So it's kind of like Saw in a way, you know? But it's not like, oh, you did a bad thing, so I'm gonna string you up and make you go through my little puzzles.
Yeah, there's like no weight behind their whole deal. It's like it's like they look sinister and they're sort of behind all this gore and stuff that's happening, but there's nothing really going on there.
I think that's why they had to have the rich dude.
Yeah.
Because in the original is all about like BDSM, right? You know, like they're all leather clad, you know, and Frank is just a big fucking pervert. And that's really what the whole thing's about. In fact, like I was watching it on Amazon because that's where it was streaming because, you know, you got to find out where everything's streaming now. And whenever you pause it, it comes up with trivia. And one of the original title for it before like the studio said that, you know, that wouldn't go was supposed to be like sadomasochists in hell or something.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So like it's obvious like what it's going for. Like, you know, you get chained up, right? You know, and like the whole thing's about like pleasure and pain. Like it's so overt. Like the Cenobites in the original are like bound in leather, you know? Like it's so obvious what it is. But in this one, they're like more alien looking, you know?
Yeah.
And so you have to have the rich dude talk about like, oh, I wanted to experience the ultimate pleasure. Like you need those monologues in order for it to try to like tie that back in.
Yeah, and if you're
otherwise they're just
if you're replacing that with generic rich white dude,
right?
That's not going to go.
Right. Yeah.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like you had the weird twink at the beginning just to like set it up, which you didn't need that scene at all.
Also, the very second that his face comes on screen, you know he's dead in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Which is fine. That's not necessarily a knock on anything. But.
Yeah. Also, can I just say that these are the worst puzzles I think I've ever seen. Like even in the original, like this so-called puzzle box.
They're very easy.
It's quite easy. All you have to do is like start turning it until it like pops out. Like that.
It's almost like they want you to solve it.
Yeah, kind of.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just this film like lacked, like I said, any atmosphere. It really dragged in the second half. There
was no reason for it to be this long.
No reason at all. And like
I know I say that a lot, but like
no, it's true. Like people sometimes get fixated on runtimes, you know, which like I understand, like, you know, in certain contexts, but you know, a movie should be as long as it needs to be, and this one definitely went a little bit too far.
I really don't understand what the point of having the boyfriend betray was.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, it was just I guess it was just to make her stab him.
Yeah, give like a justification to serve him up, right?
Yeah, but she almost did it anyway before she knew.
Yeah, I mean,
before she stabbed the one Cenobite.
Very few options in that scenario. So
yeah, like is she gonna stab her brother's boyfriend that she's known for a good while, or like the dude she's been screwing for like a month?
Exactly.
Like, yeah. I don't know. Like the one of the like it's again back to the whole thing like where they took too long to show Pinhead. Like the coolest scene in this was whenever they're torturing their roommate, like where she was kind of still in that like liminal space where she's still in the car but getting tortured in the Cenobite hallway.
Very cool. Yeah, I love the transition of that.
Yeah, where it's like then she's sticking pins in her vocal cords and shit. Like that was the best scene. And like in the original, you're waiting for the payoff of whenever they're gonna take and torture Frank, and you get it at the end. And in this, you don't.
No,
Not really?
I mean, I guess you get that very last scene with the rich dude, but even that kind of was like, okay, I want this movie to end now.
Yeah, I was like, all right, like okay, and even in that, you don't see Pinhead.
No,
He's in a weird sky box, and you see his balls for some reason.
Yeah. I don't know. I wish I had more to say about this one, you know. David Bruckner, I didn't realize that he directed The Night House last year, the movie starring Rebecca Hall, which Rebecca Hall was fantastic in it. I mean, she's fantastic in everything she's in, but the screenplay itself was rough. So if I had known that he directed that movie, I might have been a little bit more cautious about suggesting this one.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, the problem, like, it just goes back to, like, Pinhead was cool and good. I want to see more Pinhead.
Was Pinhead in the original? Was that like practical effects? It's been a few years since I've seen it. Yeah, so I feel like that also, like, there's like an element that gets taken away in a movie like this where it's just not as effective. Yeah, you know, when you put the special effects on top of everything. Yeah, like you still have the actor playing Pinhead. It's Jamie Clayton is the actor's name, and she's really good. And like I said, the character designs are really cool and everything. But I just wish there was more going on behind them. You know, like it's one thing to look cool standing around, but I don't know.
But then if you just make them stand around outside.
Like last week we were talking about, oh God, what was the movie's name that we just watched a week ago?
Future
Crimes of the Future. Yeah, the David Cronenberg. And like that movie is so full of ideas, whether or not they completely pan out, you know. But it's just it's a movie that is so interested in the like the devices and all the things that it has made like in its world, you know, and like all the philosophical like ideas and questions that it raises and like all the implications of everything that's going, like there's none of that exists in this movie. Yeah. Like there's not much to this cast of characters. There's not much going on with the Hellraisers themselves. It's all kind of like about just driving this plot forward, and it even struggles with doing that a lot of the time. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't want to be too negative, but I feel like it's too late for that now. Yeah, like they bring in this rich guy, and there's not even any like commentary there. No, other than the fact that they're like, oh yeah, he's a rich guy, so he was probably weird. It's like, okay, are you gonna like, go into that? Yeah, like he's meant to be this sadistic psychopath with the stuff that he's done in his mansion over the years. And aside from killing the twink at the beginning, you don't see that. You don't see that, and you also don't get that from him later on. Like he's just a dude that's suffering and wants that suffering to end. And whatever the fuck that thing was. Yeah, that's kind of. I don't even know the logistics of that. I don't understand what that was. I really don't. So yeah, I don't know. I watched this on a couple nights ago, and I know that you usually watch it the night before, so it's like fresh. And I consider texting you and being like, maybe we should cancel this because I finished watching. I'm like, I wouldn't want to put you through the 2 hours of watching it. So I consider that, but you know, here we are. Yeah. I mean, you know, you win some, you lose some, especially with horror. That's what, you know, you take that risk. That's true. Especially with reboots. I know you have probably something for next week, but yes, I don't. Oh, okay. I forgot. So the third Halloween, is on Peacock. I don't know if you have any interest. So I would be watching 3 Halloween movies. Okay, so I could do that. Don't, because I haven't seen either of the previous 2. The second one's bad. I've heard that. I've heard it's like a half-baked like commentary on like Me Too or something, which sounds. No, it's a half-baked commentary on like cancel culture. Oh, that's even worse. Yeah, Mike Myers is like Trump. It's not. It's really why do you even want to go back? Because apparently this one is even like crazier somehow. Okay. And they keep saying it's the last one, which is total bullshit. Oh, complete. But like I want to see what the fuck they do. I want to see what the fuck they do. Is there any way I can just watch like the first the first and the third? Yeah. You think? You'll be fine. Okay. You'll be fine. So maybe I can tell you the plot. I'll tell you the plot right now of the second one. I'll watch the first one and then I'll see where I'm at. Okay. Yeah. The second one's really bad. Okay. All you have to know is that evil dies tonight. Oh boy, that sounds like a Batman line. You don't know how right you are. Oh God.
Oh shit.
Yeah, we could do that. I'll sign up for Peacock again for another month because there's a couple things I want to watch on there anyway.
Just make a new account with a free trial.
Nah, I don't do that anymore. Yeah, I don't do that anymore. Leave it at that.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what they do.
Okay, so that'll be good for next week.
Okay, it might be 2 stinkers in a row, but
no, that's okay. I feel like with that there will at least be stuff to talk about because I think the crime here is that this movie was too long and it was just like too hollow and doesn't really allow for much. Like I just feel like I was just rambling this whole time about nothing.
Yeah, I mean,
which that might just be par for the course for me, but
no, I think that's the case with this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's it.
Okay.
This will be good for YouTube.
Sure.
Yeah, 25 minutes, just chuck it up there.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be good. Yeah, thank you for listening. If you want to check out the full episodes, you can also find them over here on YouTube or check it out wherever you get your podcasts. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the whole 9 yards. Yeah, you can also follow me on Twitter, DeadEndRoad. Check out the Facebook.com/DeadEndRoadTV. Twitch.tv/DeadEndRoadTV. We'll be doing a live show over on the 28th on Twitch.tv/DeadEndRoadTV. And if you're already here on YouTube, YouTube.com, you can do a search for DeadEndRoad TV. Ko-fi.com/DeadEndRoad. And you can email us anything at all, like your thoughts on the new Hellraiser. Maybe you thought it was fucking amazing and we just missed very important subtext. Video@DeadEndRoad.co. You can tell us all about it.
That's always a possibility, at least with me.
It is, yeah. I mean, we've gotten some feedback in the past for shit that we were very wrong about 1917. I remember that one.
Well, to be fair, all we did there was completely dismiss that movie before actually watching it. So, which was a huge mistake.
Yeah, that's true.
Because that's probably like a top 5 war movie for me.
Yeah.
Not that I have probably even seen 10 of them, but it's in the top 5.